We will create a network of for-profit businesses that will hire from the neighborhoods, and the employees will own the businesses that are created.
People don't feel that they're just coming and punching a time clock for somebody else's benefit or for shareholders on Wall Street.
So that it's a values decision that leads to a sound business decision.
It is indeed, and I think it's very much a reinforced positive circle.
We're market-driven, but instead of being investor-driven as well, we're worker-owner-driven.
It is a great feeling coming to work every day knowing that we are all creating something together that we're going to benefit from.
People care about each other, and they care about people caring about each other.
Production of immense possibilities is made possible by the generous support of the Earth and Humanity Foundation. Wendy Selden. Rogue Co-ops, a community-centered collaboration among the Ashland Food Co-op, the Grange Co-op, Rogue Credit Union, and the Medford Food Co-op. Cliff Bar and Company, Elizabeth York, and these additional members of the Immense Possibilities Community Builders Circle.
Welcome to our weekly visit with people who are creating immense possibilities for healthy communities, solutions to all kinds of challenges. If we set out to design the best possible economic model for communities and the people who live in them, we might start by recognizing what works now. What motivates companies to provide the best possible services and products? What makes employees give their best to the enterprise? What makes and keeps loyal customers? What sustains success and avoids the painful wrenching of boom and bust? And what if we could combine all of those elements into one model? Well, hundreds of people in a city that might surprise you already have.
The Evergreen Cooperatives is a network of employee-owned businesses. We are looking at a new paradigm for creating wealth in the Cleveland community. We will create a network of for-profit businesses that will hire from the neighborhoods, and the employees will own the businesses that are created.
This is a laboratory for a new kind of economic development.
Cleveland wants to be where the world is going, not where the world is.
So take that, Oregon. Cleveland is calling us out, but the Northwest is answering with businesses of its own, and they come in all sizes. Tonight we'll look at three. The first with 9 employee owners, and one with 375, and finally a company you might not expect with 12,000 workers who have ownership shares. We'll begin small with City Bikes in Portland. Its president, Ryan Smith, joins me now. Ryan, welcome to Immense Possibilities.
Thanks, Jeff. Good morning.
Tell us about City Bikes. What do you folks do?
We're a new and used bike shop focusing on repairs and selling used bikes. We also have used components and accessories for people, so that's available at our other shop.
Can any employee become an owner?
Yeah. After you work 900 hours, you can start the ownership track. That usually is about 9 months of dedication to this co-op. And then you have like a 3-month trial period where you take on responsibilities of an owner. And usually that means being a part of one of the committees as well. And then after 1,200 hours, which usually translates to about a year, there's a vote to vote you in as an owner.
How are decisions made at the companies, the big decisions?
People from the committees come up with proposals to help better the co-op, and then we all decide on them in a general meeting. So everyone has to be on board with the decision, so it can take some time, and there's a lot of details to work out, but we usually end up coming to a unanimous vote.
Do you remember any decisions that were particularly hard to make on consensus?
There's been only a handful of times in my 8 years of being there where cooperators just aren't working well with the group anymore, and so it's usually like human resource issues and personnel issues are really difficult because, you know, we want everyone to work out, but some people just don't self-manage well enough to work in a cooperative.
I wonder about a core decision, a core issue for a lot of small business, which is how much of profit to put in your pocket and take as income, and how much to plow back in the business, which is related to how much do you want a business to grow. Has that been tough for you folks?
I haven't seen it come up. It's we have a budget planned for the year that we try and stick with, and if we're really profitable that year, then we decide if we want to, do something more than just, benefiting ourselves. Oftentimes, like any improvement we've done to the building or any community outreach has just increased our sales and increased like our reputation and our presence in Portland, and so we see the benefits of that.
Does your ownership model pose any advantages or disadvantages with your competitors? For example, might it mean that labor costs are higher than a privately owned, single-owned shop?
Being that we're a consensus decision-making group, that can take some time. And so there's definitely more hours put into deciding what to do and what path we want to go. So I feel like maybe that's the one benefit of another shop that's just, a sole proprietor. But the thing about the decisions we make is when we're all on board with it, we go hard and we go strong. And so I feel like it's actually a benefit. It just may take a little bit more time to get to those decisions.
Is there anything you'd like a viewer to take from this conversation? In particular, they've never before really thought about cooperatively owned businesses.
The best part about it, I think, is that you're supporting like everyone in the business. It's not just one person making all the money and then paying like, a living wage to the employees. It's everybody who's able to make a good, strong living and continue to grow that you're supporting. And I feel like that's a really important thing.
Ryan Smith is one of the 9 co-owners and the current president of City Bikes in Portland. Ryan, thanks for telling us about your business. Really appreciate your time.
You're welcome, Jeff. Thank you.
Well, we started in 1988. The pub downtown opened in June of that year. In those early days, I like to tell the story of using the warehouse across the street behind the pub, running kegs between our pub and that little warehouse of ours through the winter with a forklift with chains on it, loaded with kegs. It was quite an exciting time. We built the first phase of this facility here, our larger production brewery, in 1993. And it seems like we've been adding on to it ever since. Really, Central Oregon is all about lifestyle. People care about each other, and they care about people caring about each other.
And that is part of the reason that Deschutes Brewery has settled and thrived in Central Oregon. Deschutes is a medium-sized example of employee ownership. And with us now is its chief financial officer and one of its 374 owners, Peter Skirbeck. Peter, welcome to Immense Possibilities.
Thank you for having me.
How did Deschutes Brewery come to be partially employee owned?
It was out of a desire of our family ownership base to include employees on the upside and give them a beneficial economic upside.
So that in itself wasn't a financial motivation, it was a values motivation.
It was very much a values motivation, both along what the shareholders wanted employees to be able to have and the level of participation they wanted to see from our team members, but also out of a belief that if you give people ownership and give them an opportunity to be owners, that the business results will be enhanced.
So that it's a values decision that leads to a sound business decision.
It is indeed, and I think it's very much a reinforced positive circle. We're 100% transparent financially. All of our financial information down to the last penny, any co-owner employee can ask for information about what we're doing, what our financial performance is. The only thing we don't share is wages.
Now let me stop you right there. That's unusual. Most companies don't do that. Why not? Why not just do that?
I don't know, because I think it's a very powerful tool both to educate our team on how they can have an impact, a real impact, and generate a positive financial result if they can see how every action they take affects the financial statements.
I imagine there are some craft breweries with a traditional single-person, single-family ownership who are free to pay the lowest wages they possibly can in the market, and therefore you would think would have a competitive cost advantage over you. Can that be a problem, and how do you deal with it?
I don't think it's an advantage at all, because what we get by offering really good livable wages in combination with great benefits like the ESOP is a highly motivated, resilient workforce that is very innovative, that attacks problems well, that is really interested in making the company perform better and creating long-term sustainable value.
So is it fair to say that any higher cost you may absorb in terms of compensation is offset, at least in part, by lower transition and instability costs?
We believe so, and it's actually proven out statistically for us.
Do you ever hear wary or negative comments about the worker-owned model in the sense that somehow it's not what the free enterprise system's supposed to be?
Occasionally, but it's really born out of a dramatic misunderstanding of what the worker-owned model is or can be. I mean, if you think about ESOPs as encouraging and creating more capitalists, which is what they do, and create and better distribute wealth, which is what they do, I don't know how you can make that argument that they're somehow opposed to the free market system.
So you take that, Peter, you take the greater prospects and stability and future security it offers to employees and workers. Why aren't more businesses in America cooperatively worker-owned?
I think it's a matter of education. We really don't educate our business students either at the undergraduate level or graduate level on the benefits of employee ownership and the fact that it is relatively easy to execute. And when you have a reputation for being a really good company to work for with a very familial, involved culture, it helps you attract the right kind of people. And that is definitely an asset for us.
You know, one of the things I think that undermines morale at some companies is the spread of compensation, the very high ratio between the top people and the bottom people in compensation. Do you have a formal or informal policy about keeping that ratio modest?
So part of being an ESOP actually demands that you keep that ratio somewhat modest in that there's top-heavy compensation testing that the plan has to go through. And in order to pass and comply, there are certain ratios governed by the Department of Labor. The approach that we've taken as a team is always to be within a reasonable market range, somewhere around the median for positions throughout the company.
Do you put much energy into training employees to do a variety of different jobs in the company? And is that in any way central to this model?
It absolutely is. Training is a core focus and a core strategic focus for us, especially as we think about ESOP being very valuable in encouraging tenure with the company and encouraging retention. The other part of that equation, from my perspective, is also providing people good career paths and mobility so they can continue to learn. And training is a critical part of that.
What are the most common misconceptions about worker ownership?
I think one is that the company is run by committee once you become worker-owned, and that's not the case at all. In fact, all of the equity is actually held in a trust, and all of the recipients, beneficiaries, or co-owners are represented by an independent trustee that votes all of those shares in whatever is the best interest of the participants.
Peter, what gives you sustained passion for the work you do at this brewery?
It's just seeing what we're able to achieve as a team when we all work together. It's awesome to see it, and it is a great feeling coming to work every day knowing that we are all creating something together that we're going to benefit from.
What is the immense possibility of worker ownership?
I think the immense possibility is creating a much stronger national economy, but also broadening the distribution of wealth and giving people a chance to really create something of value and go to work on a daily basis with an enhanced sense of purpose.
You really like what you do, don't you, and how you're doing it?
Our whole team does. We have a lot of fun.
Peter Skirbeck, Chief Financial Officer of Deschutes Brewery in Central Oregon. Thanks a bunch for coming down to tell us about Deschutes Brewery and your experience with worker ownership.
Thank you so much for having me, and thanks for covering the topic of employee ownership.
We're market-driven, but instead of being investor-driven as well, we're worker-owner-driven.
They are really willing to put the hard work necessary to make a difference in their own lives and the lives of their families.
Now a look at a large Northwest firm owned by its employees. Winco Foods operates 99 food markets in 8 western states, and about 3/4 of its 15,000 employees, along with thousands of retirees, own shares in the company. Michael Reed is its Vice President of Public and Legal Affairs, and he joins us now from his office in Boise, Idaho. Michael, welcome to Immense Possibilities. We're glad to have you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Happy to be here.
Tell us how Winco came to be employee-owned.
We were founded in 1967 here in Boise, but it was a privately owned company. 2 families owned it. One of the families bought the other out, and in time, that owner passed away. And at that point in time, current executives in the company looked at buying the company from the family. And as they contemplated what the best vehicle for making that purchase might be, they came across what was called ESOP financing. So employee stock ownership plan financing, and they took out a loan through that vehicle and made an offer to the family and purchased the company in 1985. So in 1985, we became an employee-owned company.
Michael, can you give us a 45-second course in ESOP 101? How does an ESOP work?
At Winco, the ESOP is the retirement plan for all of the employees. And so when you're hired at Winco, you begin your vesting in the plan. For every year that you work 1,000 hours, you are vesting at 20% per year. So after 5 years of employment, you're 100% vested in your retirement account. And then the way that retirement account is funded is annually the company pays currently 20% of total compensation for each and every employee into their individual retirement account. So you get 20% of your total comp. And since 1985, the shares in the ESOP have appreciated at an average annual rate of just shy of 20% per year. And what it's done is it's created a significant amount of retirement security for those that stick with us for many years. And many of our employees, because of the employee ownership, have remained at the company for 20 years or more, and for them, they are very secure in their retirements, even though they may never have done anything but been a produce clerk or a cashier at the front end of our grocery stores or an accounting clerk here in the office. The employee ownership does create opportunities for the employees to have a direct say in a variety of things that impact their employment. Each of our stores, for example, creates an employee committee, and representatives from that employee committee negotiate with management for their wages and benefits at the store level. Every store, every warehouse, every office has a safety committee that is charged with looking at the working conditions, and if there's something that's unsafe or that can be improved, they have a direct say and an impact on management with regard to that. So the employee ownership really is more than just simply having shares in a retirement plan. It's an active part of our day-to-day lives as we work.
On first blush, it would seem that anybody who wants to enter your industry would want to work for you in particular.
When we open new stores, we typically hire about 180, give or take, new employees. And often when those jobs are posted and applications are being accepted, we have 4,000, 5,000, 6,000 applications for roughly 180 positions. So maybe that tells you something.
From a competitive standpoint, Michael, what are the advantages of your ownership model?
Stability of employment, longevity, and loyalty are significantly increased by having the employee stock ownership model that we do. People don't feel that they're just coming and punching a time clock for somebody else's benefit or for shareholders on Wall Street. They understand that the profitability of the company is directly tied to the valuation of their retirement account, and so they do have a sense of pride in ownership. And it motivates them, I think, to be more efficient and effective in their workplace. It helps them to kind of gently ride herd on fellow employees, that if they don't think they're quite pulling their weight or doing things the right way, they can help motivate them to be a little more ownership-minded, a little more entrepreneurial in the workplace. They look for ways to eliminate waste, to save time. And all of those things ultimately allow us to be more competitive within the marketplace.
Are there any competitive disadvantages to your model, or shall we say persistent challenges?
As I sit here and think about it a little bit, I really can't think of a particular downside to this ownership model. I really can't. I think at every level it benefits us and helps us to be more competitive in the overall marketplace.
Is employee ownership a marketing point for you, in that some customers might choose Winco in part because you're employee owned?
I think that it is, and we have had many of our customers say from time to time that that is part of the reason that they shop with us, and that is the concept of employee ownership. They like doing business with us because of the pride the employees take in their work and in the company, and so it really does impact us from a marketing and a brand image perspective.
What do you like personally about the broad equity sharing in Winco, Michael? Does it affect your job satisfaction?
I enjoy coming to work in a workplace where everybody is truly on the same team and people understand that their teamwork and their efficiency and effectiveness really does make a difference in development of retirement security and essentially personal wealth. And so, yeah, when you think about it in that context, it does increase your motivation to come to work and the satisfaction that you take in the work. It's nice to know that all of your effort and energy is creating value.
Michael Reed is Vice President of Public and Legal Affairs for Winco Foods. Michael, thanks for your time today and sharing your perspective on worker ownership and what you do at Winco. We appreciate it a lot.
Very happy to do it. Thank you for the opportunity.
West Oakland is a community about 20 to 25,000 residents, primarily Black and Latino. Not a lot of resources here, like whether it be food, clothing, medical. It's an area that has kind of been neglected.
A lot of the things in our neighborhood we can't control, right? You live in the slums, you live in the ghetto, there's substandard housing all around, there's environmental pollution all around, but at the end of the day, you select what you put in your body.
Yeah, I always thought it was normal, you know? It was McDonald's on Friday and corner store Monday.
So as far as what my old diet used to consist of, we can just run down the entire Frito-Lay catalog, Fritos, Cheetos, Doritos.
I used to eat the 2 for $1 gummy worms, all the 2 for $1 candies. I'd rack up on those.
At the peak of my health issues, I would get heart pains pretty regularly. You know, I would start to get dizzy or feel like I was going to pass out even if I just had a meal.
Short of breath, you know, the hazy vision and all that. And it would come and go, but I never thought of it as a big thing. I always thought, you know, that was just normal health.
To be perfectly honest with you, I didn't really think I'd live past like 40 or 50. I figured I'd get a heart attack and that would more or less wrap things up.
The work that we do connects two populations that have been traditionally left out of the mainstream food system: small minority farmers and urban markets like West Oakland. Our food comes from a 100 to 200 mile radius of this store. Our biggest outlet for our produce is the Mandela Foods Cooperative. They take the bulk of our produce and then they sell it to the community at very affordable prices.
I used to hate how we didn't have a grocery store, and now that we have one and I work for it, I'm proud.
I feel like I'm really making a change. I love making a change to my community.
The store itself is a great effort, but it's only one location. We want to expand the reach of healthy food, and one of the ways we can do that is by putting it in corner stores. The one thing that West Oakland has no shortage of is corner stores.
5 green bell peppers, 5 red bell peppers, 15 limes, 15 potatoes, and 5 pomegranates. I'm gonna strap everything down to the trailer.
Everyone calls us salt and pepper. We're seasoning for life, bro. As is our transportation, our equivalent of our truck, our delivery truck. We do have to watch out though, because there'll be a lot of impatient drivers, dude.
I usually wake up in the morning kind of like happy that I'm about to go to work.
So here we are at Bottles Liquor in West Oakland.
But we're just gonna stock the shelves with everything that we brought for the store. It's essential to have, fruits and vegetables accessible in any community. The emotion I get from the customers that we have and that we talk to that's pretty satisfying.
All these leafy green vegetables, eating them is kind of like putting new blood into your body. Oftentimes, our young people, I was in this position, you become somewhat apathetic with the circumstances that you're in. It's like, I can't do anything about this, this is always going to be this way, no one cares about us, whatever, what's the point? And part of what this work is about is changing that mentality and showing people that, specifically young people, that they can do whatever they choose.
And that's it for this edition of Immense Possibilities. You can find out more or send us suggestions at immensepossibilities.org or visit our Facebook page and like and share us there. Thanks for watching. I'm Jeff Gold, and until next time, please do what you can do. Thanks for watching to learn about tonight's Immense Possibility. You can watch any of our past programs anytime at immensepossibilities.org.